Dude, Luke, the printer's still busted, man. What the fuck?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 85 of the Topless Robot podcast. My name is Ryan.
I'm Tyler.
Some call me Brooks.
Dan.
And we've got our very special guest, Nebo from Downtown Brown. How's it going, Nebo?
Oh, hey.
Oh.
Hey, buddy.
I like how you put all of our viewers on on the spot there, just pointing at them.
So, it's been yet another week. 720p. Yet another week of sitting at home, working and or not working.
That warning's actually becoming more and more relevant because I'm completely losing track of days and weeks and months. So I do need this update that it has actually been whole week.
Yep.
which cracks me up because even though yes you're at home, you still work.
Yeah, but
you still have days off.
Kinda, yeah.
But honestly, that's the one thing that's keeping me in check is I pick certain days to do a live stream and I pick certain days to release my podcast. So that's like the only sense of schedule I have.
Yeah.
Because I'm not essential. I'm definitely not working right now.
Same.
Well, I'm a hero, so yeah, I'm in the presence of heroes.
And
I'm not really essential either. Most of my clients are gone.
Yeah, he's just working from home.
I program the internet, so.
You program Nice to meet you, person who programs the entire internet.
I
didn't know you were
heard of
the
the internet?
presence of fame.
The internet is kept in this black box right here. I shouldn't actually even be shaking it.
Can't believe you're shaking it. Maybe that's why my connection sucks all the time because you shake the fucking internet around.
Stop shaking the internet.
It keeps it on top of the dryer.
So
puts it in the microwave every now and then, just gotta keep the internet a little spicy.
Sometimes he has to clean the internet, so he drops it into the tub and just starts scrubbing it.
In addition to being the singer, songwriter, and heart and soul of Downtown Brown, Nebo is also sometimes a singer of Reagan Youth, and has a podcast of his own called Supcast. That we've talked about before on the podcast back when I was out your way. We had you and Harry Bob on the podcast.
Yeah, that happened. I was there.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
And Ty was there too. Yeah, it was weird. It was a Topless Robot podcast, but the crew wasn't there. It was just you and Ty and me and Robert Harrington.
Yeah, Harry Bob.
For anyone who hasn't seen that is not me, Ty. That's a different Ty.
Different Ty.
The lesser Tyler. Obviously.
It was even like worded like that.
Yeah. Yep.
If I remember correctly, I was on a lot of coffee.
Yeah. So
I'm currently on a lot of coffee. I want coffee.
I'm also sure this has come up a bunch of times, but seeing as you're in a band called Reagan Youth, has anyone begged you to tour with Iron Reagan at any point? Has that already happened?
No, but people confuse the names a lot. And Reagan Youth is a New York hardcore punk band, and it's very political.
Reagan Utes.
Reagan Utes.
Yeah, actually, something that I didn't realize until you started singing for them was, I am a huge fan of the old movie and Brendan Fraser vehicle Airheads.
Yeah!
And Degenerated, the song that the Lone Rangers are playing throughout that fucking movie is Reagan Youth.
It's a Reagan Youth song. Yeah. And so Dave Rubenstein, and Paul Bakia. Paul Bakia is still with us. He is currently he's one of two original members of Reagan Youth, and he's like the lifeblood of that band. He's been keeping it going for all these years. And yeah, he and Dave died in the 90s, but they wrote that song, and yeah, it was immortalized in the movie Airheads.
And it's fucking
which is crazy for me
hell,
because
man.
I'm on stage like I started performing with the band on accident. I remember I was sitting on the toilet and their bass player hit me up.
Oh,
And she's like, "Do you want to do some gigs with us?" And I like in the past I'd driven them around as like a tour manager. Like I would sell their merch and drive them around and make sure that no one died. And
An important function.
I was like, okay, yeah, like another tour. And she's like, no, like as the singer. And I'm like, what? You want me to sing? And then we did a tour in December. And it's wild, yeah, because I'm singing all these songs. But it's weird when you are replacing like an iconic member of a sort of famous band. Let's just say the audience is not very welcoming, especially when.
Yeah, you're Blaze Bailey to that.
Yeah, no, pretty much. And they've gone through so many singers. They switch singers like every 3 months. So I'm just another guy that that isn't as good as the original guy because, of course you prefer whoever wrote the music and performed on those original albums that came out in like the late 80s, early 90s. So it's weird. It's weird being the guy that nobody likes because you're not the guy. So
yeah,
but it's an interesting experience. I'm glad I did it. I don't know if we're ever going to go back to a world where we can perform live and shit.
But having seen some live footage of some of the shows that you played with them, the audience energy is high. I'm sure maybe some members of the audience afterwards maybe were like ask you some passive aggressive fucking question or some shit like that.
Mostly internet shit talking. Like they did an Ask Me Anything, and someone said, "Why do you let your new singer sing like Axl Rose?" and I'm thinking to myself, I'm just singing like me, but I guess I sound like Axl Rose. And
Thanks for the compliment, guys, but I haven't done that many drugs yet.
What was nice?
Don't gain a lot of weight and start wearing yellow jackets, okay?
I like Axl. I even like fat Axl Rose. I'm an Axl fan. But regardless, what was nice about the whole thing is during the AMA, the main guy of the band defended me and said, "Yeah, I think he sounds a little bit more like this singer that I admire." And he kind of defended me, and that made me feel good. But it just goes with the territory. If you're replacing an iconic like original member and one that passed away in a very tragic manner, you're always going to be like second fiddle, third fiddle, eighth fiddle to
right.
the person that everybody loves.
Your primary sin is not that you're not talented. Your primary sin is that you're not him. That's at the end of the day. That's all it is.
And the whole thing is, I'm just trying to respect his legacy and do as good of a job as I can. And I think no matter how hard you try or how much effort you put in or how talented you are, there's always going to be some dickhead on the internet that's just like, who the fuck's this guy?
All they need to do to clean it up is pull a Sublime thing, right? Sublime did Sublime with Rome. All Reagan Youth needs to be is Reagan Youth with Nebo. I mean, whatever. It was
I don't know about that.
the Nebo Youth.
I don't know about that either.
No, I feel like bringing the name front and center would piss more people off. Like,
just lean into it. Make everyone more mad. They'll sooner or later they'll just come around.
But then
it's one of those things anyway, dude. Like you could have a local band that has a maximum of like 20 fans, and if they change guitarists, there's gonna be some dude who's like, "Well, I prefer the unintelligible riff writing from this one dude whose first name I only know." Like, fuck this band.
Yeah, Pete's writing was pretty solid, man.
My band experienced that on a very small level, just being a local band in Detroit. Like in the early 2000s, we got rid of our original drummer, and there was a huge backlash. And I'm just like, and we got a better drummer, and we started doing bigger shows and doing better things, and people were still like, I don't know. Everyone is nostalgic for like 5 minutes ago. They're nostalgic for like, I remember 6 months ago when things were different. I liked it better then. I don't know.
I'm constant. Like, that's one thing that I complain about all the time. I'm tired of this like fascination with nostalgia that everyone seems to have. Even though, like, when they're in the moment, they complain about how shitty everything is and how it was better 5 minutes ago, but somehow the next 5 minutes is better. Fucking make up your mind.
And speaking of nostalgia,
Oh,
you know what came out
Christ.
this week?
Segue.
Before we get to your segue, there's one other thing that I want to touch on, because Reagan Youth is a fairly legendary band in the punk scene. I mean, we all know who Reagan Youth is.
Yep.
And whether people realize it or not, they know who Reagan Youth is because everyone saw Airheads, which is a fucking great movie.
Oh, yeah.
But you have experience playing with not one but two legendary artists. So Downtown Brown was the backing band for HR from Bad Brains. And I imagine that because HR didn't have a set cast of characters for his band, there was probably, I would expect anyway, less backlash from you guys filling that position.
That one was a little easier. It was actually harder because I had to learn, intricate guitar lines and a bunch of songs on the guitar. The hardest part about the Reagan Youth stuff was memorizing all the lyrics. I don't know. But playing with HR was surreal because he's arguably way more iconic than Reagan Youth as far as his influence is concerned. And Reagan Youth influenced a lot of people, but like the Bad Brains, that's like
without Bad Brains, there's no Beastie Boys.
Well, and what's funny is Reagan Youth are all friends with Bad Brains, so it's all interconnected in this like early '80s, late '70s, early '80s hardcore stuff. That I was born in '81, so when all this stuff was happening, when all these men were in their like early 20s, late teens, and they were changing the fucking world, I was just a little zygote, you know. And so just to be a part of it in any way, shape, or form, it's really amazing. And there's a part of me that's I'm just hoping that. It's a lot of work when you're essentially a hired gun. You're just trying to do justice to the project that you're hired to be a part of. And I always was just like, oh, I want to be doing my own thing. I want to be doing Downtown Brown, but I'm nostalgic for fucking 3 months ago when you could drive around and travel and play gigs and go on planes and stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping we can get back there because like I have gigs with HR from Bad Brains in July that are definitely probably going to get canceled. And then we had a whole run with Reagan Youth in June, and it's very doubtful that's going to happen. I mean, they're saying in California that live events and concerts aren't going to come back till 2021, and that's like best case scenario.
Yeah, dude.
But Missouri has announced that concerts can resume, and they're starting right back up real soon.
Really?
Yeah.
That's gonna stop really.
I can't wait to see a show at Branson, Missouri.
Says every baby boomer ever.
Maybe Shoji will be there.
If they haven't come up with a vaccine for this shit yet, and the people in charge don't know what the fuck's going on, and this disease lies dormant and is supposed to come back worse in the winter, like I really don't think they should be starting concerts anytime soon.
No, I agree. And so the stipulation is that they have to have things set up in such a way that people can practice social distancing. So essentially that's going to reduce capacity of most venues and make it so small venues like mine can't exist. Like
it won't work anyway. I mean, you can't just have squares of tape on the ground 6 feet apart saying like stand perfectly still here and don't move for the entire show.
Yeah.
Hey, mosh in your own square, dude, okay?
I don't know, man. It really depends on what
it
depends on the music.
And this is the other thing too, is most of these bigger acts, they have a guaranteed amount of money that these venues agree to pay them. And all of that is based on volume. It's based on how many people come through the door. And if you cut that, 1/10 or 1/15, like if you have a 400 capacity venue and only 25 people are allowed in there because everyone needs to stand 6 feet apart, like no one's going to make any money.
You're not going to hit that $1,500 guarantee.
No one. The artist isn't going to make any money. The venue's not going to make enough money for the staff. They're not going to sell enough booze to keep the doors open. Like, I hate to be, I hate to be negative about all this, but it's like, what the shit's fucked, dude.
Yeah,
but whatever.
It's been an interesting 2020, and will continue to be an interesting 2020.
I'm just gonna loop songs about dudes with clits by myself.
Just continue to musically masturbate, my friend.
Exactly. That's all I got now.
Just make sure you hydrate.
Yeah.
But the most interesting...
Speaking of people dying, Brooks,
the most interesting thing from 2020 for Brooks, anyway.
Oh, well, it's not the most interesting thing from...
No?
You kidding me? There's so much going on to be interested in right now.
Oh, sure, but you've been waiting how many years since the last Streets of Rage?
25.
As have I. And I haven't even played the new one yet.
Ooh.
But Brooks...
So, when did Streets of Rage 3 come out?
And
what console was it on?
It's on the Genesis. 90...
it would have to be 94? 93?
So they made 3 of those games on the Genesis.
94. Well done.
Yep.
There was 3 of those games on the Genesis?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Like, how different could they be from each other?
They weren't that different. But you didn't need them to be that different.
Well, I mean, how different was Double Dragon 1?
Kick some ass.
Same thing with Double Dragon. Same thing with,
Same
You
thing
made
with
a lot of
most
Double
games
Dragons.
back in the 90s. Like,
yeah.
sequels were just more
of the same. with here's an extra thing you can do.
Or here's a new enemy type, or,
Yesterday's sequels were today's DLC. Like, yeah, come on.
Right. Man, that makes sense. Like, remember Clay Fighter 2 was like pretty much just Clay Fighter.
It was Clay Fighter
character.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
You might have dated yourself, my friend.
Dude, I'm 39. I remember when SNES came out. We actually went to the video store and we rented the console before we decided to buy it, because it was just like, we went to Blockbuster and for $16.99 you could rent an SNES. And I just remember being like, ah. And then for Christmas we actually got an SNES, and it was mind blowing. This shit was 16-bit. Going from 8 to 16 was mind blowing.
Yeah, dude.
Star Fox.
It was pretty rad.
Star Fox on SNES. We were like, it's so 3D. Oh my god! But when you look at it now, you're just like, there's triangles like doing.
Yeah, right.
And there was so much lagging. Like, if
it's like
a boss,
it's like 2 frames per second, dude.
I feel really bad.
No, it's a good game.
I was 2 months old when the SNES came out.
Jesus Christ!
I was yet to be born. I was
walked
unborn.
this plane. Briefly.
But that's the thing too. I mean, like, I remember when the 25th anniversary of Jurassic Park happened. We went and saw Jurassic Park in the theater. Still holds up.
Oh yeah, it does. Absolutely. Well, that's
And
what
then-
they get for using practical effects too. Like those the dinosaur designs were fucking solid, and there's no dated CG to fuck that up.
But then you watch like The Mummy Returns or some shit.
Hey,
no.
do not talk ill of Brendan Fraser.
I don't think
love
that he
Brendan
said
Fraser.
anything bad about Brendan Fraser.
I'm just talking about dated. I mean, even the CG in Terminator 2, like at the time it was like, whoa, but it hasn't aged as well as the big Tyrannosaurus face.
Well,
Yeah.
I always point out Lord of the Rings, like, if you look at any other
Perfect
movie
mix.
that came out in 2001, Lord of the Rings is the one that you utilize CGI and special effects. Lord of the Rings is the only one that fucking still holds up. Like, Matrix, I think it's the second Matrix came out in 2001.
Yeah.
And the second
Sounds
Matrix
right.
looks like garbage.
I feel like
second Matrix
Peter
was
Jackson
just
did a really good
garbage.
job
It was.
of combining practical and CGI. I feel like he had a real tasteful mix.
Yeah, I mean,
Peter
his
Jackson.
studio that he set up, I mean, Weta, like, he had been fucking with that stuff for ages. You go back to Brain Dead, and you go back to, Meet the Feebles and the Frighteners and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a sweaty puppet movie right there.
Dude, Meet the Feebles, it makes me feel like dirty inside when I'm watching it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that little fly on the wall that's like he's like blackmailing, and there's one scene where the fly is like shoveling shit into his mouth, and it's just like I have to go take a shower after I watch this.
Classic. I've never seen Meet the Feebles.
and all he was doing was
didn't they
working
make-
up those special effects chops so he could do Lord of the Rings.
Didn't they make recently make a kind of puppet movie that had Melissa McCarthy in it?
Yes, I can't remember what it was called, and it
Oh, was that the,
did horribly.
That
Yeah,
was
I
the one that
heard
was
that.
supposed to be that got sued because they billed themselves as like the rated R Muppets or something like that, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Jim
and they got
Henson's
sued.
people were like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, they're like, no, fuck you can't use Muppets.
The Muppets.
What was it called?
It's just like, why would a big studio try to make a worse version of Meet the Feebles? Not even that it's the same plot. It's just like that idea already happened and it was great.
Oh, sorry. It was sued by Sesame Street. It was called the Happy Time Murder.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Sesame
That makes more
Street.
sense.
It was Jim Henson, the Jim Henson Company.
Okay.
But they were sued by Sesame Street because they said that they were the rated R, like something about like the rated R Sesame Street
Okay.
or something.
You know what was great that involved puppets is Wonder Shows, and
Wonder
Yeah.
Chosen was great. Also great was Greg the Bunny.
I've never seen that.
It's been a long time for me.
Greg the Bunny with Seth Green and Eugene Levy.
Ah. Was that like a like primetime television?
That was on like AMC or Bravo, I think.
Oh, okay.
I very vaguely remember.
It was
It was
basic
fucking
cable.
hilarious, man. It was great.
some
They had
basic
they had the count who had to end everything with blah. And there was an episode where they are trying to like update the image, and so the count has to like do hip hop rap. And so he's reading the script, and he's reading the word I as I get blah, and he can't stop saying blah. So yeah, and then he gets frustrated and just says blah a bunch of times. It's just, if you can, I don't know if it's available for streaming anywhere, but if you can track it down, Greg the Bunny is fucking great.
God,
And the Wumpus. It's
hey,
fucking
everyone
awesome.
is saying that Ozark is really good. Is it good?
I watched part of
I've
the
seen
first
the first
season.
season. It's really good.
Yeah.
I haven't continued, but I'm going to go back.
I think I saw a little bit of it. It was good from what I saw.
Yeah.
Is the plot line just like Jason Bateman is Walter White? Is that kind of like is it the same-
Kinda, but
It's obviously inspired by Breaking Bad, but it's a different storyline.
yeah,
But it
it's-
holds up. It's like worthy of my time, my precious time that I have so little of.
I have enjoyed what I've seen in the first season. I've heard great things about it. From what I've gathered, it's family man doing illegal things to support family. But family is also kind of in on the illegal things.
Where has that happened before? What
Yeah.
TV show has done something like that?
Family Matters. All of the
Malcolm in the middle. Malcolm in the
all of the zoning laws that Urkel broke doing his dumb experiments. They're all in on it. The Winslows are criminals.
Yeah, Urkel was very careless.
So in
Urkel was problematic.
on the topic, Urkel was also the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog. On the topic of news and such, we're getting reports that the new consoles that are due out in November, so the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, the hardware will not be delayed. They are not seeing any delays in production or anything like that as a result of all this. However, the games will. So
We're going to release a console with no games to play.
Yeah, like launch is going to be super sketchy for the big two unless they decide that like, okay, we just aren't going to have enough launch to support this, so it would make more sense to push this off until 2021.
It's got to be pushed off if they don't have any games that are ready for it.
But they could also make
Saturn all over again.
They could also make the case for the backwards compatibility of the two systems.
Yeah, but are they gonna? No one's gonna buy the systems if there's no new games. Like the new games is the system seller. It's not the system itself.
Right.
Like there's no way that they're gonna make enough money to justify putting it out. Right?
If they move forward with launching in November, I predict that it will be the weakest new console launch that we've ever seen.
Which is going to help Nintendo win the next generation of
Nintendo's
consoles.
just surging, dude. Like, fucking no one can find a Switch anywhere because the Switch is apparently the quarantine system of choice, as well as Animal Crossing.
When when we went into lockdown, I remember my girlfriend was like, I should buy a Switch. And she's like, there are no Switches. So,
yeah.
There you go.
In other news, Universal announced that Trolls World Tour, the Trolls movie sequel, has
come to you from Topless Robot first.
done almost as well as the first Trolls movie. It did in the theater in its first 3 weeks. So they had to do a digital only release because everyone, all the movie theaters are closed down. And they saw, I think it was something like 106 million in their first 3 weeks versus 112 million in the first 3 weeks of the first Trolls movie. And
I just want to really quick point out, I didn't know that there was a first Trolls movie.
Oh, yeah.
I paid attention to movie releases and whatnot. I did not know that the first Trolls movie existed. If it is being outperformed by the current Trolls movie, it's because of advertising more than the fact that
I don't know. Could it be that you just weren't the target demographic, so you didn't hear about it? Because I knew
Disney
about it a
movies.
long
You know,
time
Tyler,
ago.
of course he's the target.
He is the target
No,
demographic.
that's fair. That's fair.
Your Facebook was targeting him.
I've seen so many trailers for the new Trolls movie. I don't remember seeing a single trailer for the first one.
Super remember a very, very vivid. I mean, like Zac Efron's in it. Like it's got a whole bunch of big names in it and shit. But I mean, for your argument to be the case, it would have had to have pulled probably less than 112 million in its first 3 weeks, because that's not bad for a movie of its caliber and what it's targeting. That's really not a bad 3 weeks.
Maybe I just don't give a shit about Trolls, so my brain just...
Yeah, exactly. So Universal says that maybe this is the way that they would like to move forward with movies like this, do either a simultaneous release in theaters and streaming, and not have it hit theaters for the requisite. And basically what we've all kind of expected that things were going to move towards for years now. And Universal saying, we're seeing these numbers, it would be totally worthwhile for us to just do a co-release. To which AMC Theaters, in their infinite wisdom, said, we are not going to screen any NBC Universal movies at all anymore.
No.
Now, I don't know here, but I feel like AMC is not holding any of the cards here. AMC doesn't have the weight to be like, look, we're not going to play any of your fucking movies if you're just going to go digital. Fucking fine. We're not going to do it. You know what? I'd rather go to Alamo Drafthouse anyway.
Where's your fucking bargaining power if none of your theaters can be open? Like,
yeah. But I mean, beyond that, like, they don't do cool events like Alamo does. They don't have good, strict policy like Alamo does. They're old and they're not aging well. They're not growing into this new era of digital distribution and, media and movies with the rest of us. And they're going to die because of it.
Unfortunately.
I feel like it'd be the same thing if record stores were like, we're not going to carry Warner Brothers records anymore. It's like,
yeah, right. We're not going to carry Warner Brothers records anymore because you're also releasing on iTunes and Spotify, and you're on all these other digital services that don't require people to walk into my store.
But in order to keep your store open, you're going to have to play ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole COVID thing isn't really. Yeah, it's stupid. AMC's dumb. They're gonna regret that probably.
I mean, what you have to do is grow with the times and do like Alamo has special events, and special screening events. They bring in guests for Q&As. They do these really cool, unique events. Everyone could learn a lot from Alamo.
I want to point out too that Harkins does the same thing, or Harkins has started doing similar things.
Good.
Yeah, Harkins is trying to adapt for sure.
They've been doing movie parties. They've got a bar in the fucking
evolve the model, man.
And they're paying their it's pretty cool.
And I don't think that companies like Universal don't want people to not go to theaters to see their stuff. It's just they'll make more money doing it this way. And nobody wants the movie theaters to close because it's an experience going to the movies. It's not just I can't I have to put on pants to go see a new movie sometimes,
But I mean, in the case like on the side of Universal, maybe they just release these movies that are more targeted towards kids digitally as well. I am so on board for that.
Keep your fucking kids out of the movie theater.
Exactly.
Yeah, make the movie house more adult.
And that's
we should go back
fine.
to Pee-wee era adult movie house. Well, I wanted to interject real quick. I used to work for these dudes that owned a recording studio, and they would turn clients away that wanted to record hip hop.
Jeez.
And it's like, okay, so you're only going to record guitar-based rock music, and lo and behold, the business. I don't even know if I'm going to get my 1099 from 2019 from that job because I'm pretty much assuming that they fucking went bankrupt after the whole COVID thing and they had to close because there was a buyout. I mean, I could go into the specifics of it, but I just thought that old mentality. Just being like, well, I don't want to record no hip hop. It's like, well, that's the most popular genre of music right now. Why would you say no to money?
Yeah. Well, so I could understand it if they were producing as well. Like if they're the producers or recording engineer and they just don't know how to work with hip hop, totally get it. Absolutely understand. But
it was a lack of them even wanting to try. It was just holding on to the old guard, I bought all this gear so I could record guitars, like a very dated boomer mentality. So
okay,
I don't
boomer.
know. No, for real. I think we all need to adapt to the digital world because if we don't, we're gonna any of us who are holding on to. I mean, that's why I'm streaming shit now. Like I always I'm like, why would I ever stream a concert? And then COVID happened. And it's like, oh, if I want to fucking make money playing music, this is the only thing. I have to learn how to stream well and monetize that shit. You have to survive somehow. And I don't know. I don't want to be left in the dust of some sort of digital revolution. Like you can just sit around and complain that things aren't the way they used to be, or you can adapt. And
Yeah, so on that topic, a few weeks ago we had Kevin Gibson from Tubring on as a guest. Yeah, and it was right before Tubring started doing. They started doing a series. He and Rob started doing a series of live streams where each night they were talking about memories of recording a different Tubring album. So starting, from the beginning all the way up to
That's exactly what I'm doing.
And I was going to say, so
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, dude. They didn't play any though. Like they talked about the experience and whatnot. Okay. And I was going to mention that you did the same thing. You started going through that Downtown Brown catalog, starting from the beginning. But you were playing and going through footage, live footage from the era of you guys, playing those tunes and like going back, way back. on some of that stuff.
It's I'm on tomorrow I do album number 4, and essentially it's me telling stories about how the songs came to be, and then looking at footage, like you said, and then playing some of the songs live, and then I actually play along to the footage of some of the songs. So I'm trying to make the format not be boring. So it's like I'll go from an anecdote to playing a song kind of acoustic, and then I'll play along with the band, and then I'll show some stupid videos, So I'm trying just to like keep it fresh, but also I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So it's all like this. There's this. You're watching this learning curve in real time of some guy for 20 years. All he did is drive around in a van, and now he's trying to figure out how to fucking, he's trying to figure out bit rate and compression and audio routing. It's all this stuff I had no idea about 3 weeks ago, and I just had to watch 10 million YouTube tutorials, and I still am not great at it. So. But whatever.
But in figuring that out and starting to do that stuff,
almost died.
Have you been enjoying yourself doing that? Obviously, it could never be a replacement for that, like being up on a stage in front of a live audience. But is it kind of scratching that itch for you at all, or?
The most enjoyable thing about it is when people tell you how what you did affected their life in a positive way, and also, there is a performance aspect to it. Like I get sweaty and I'm screaming and I'm yelling and I'm hooting and hollering. And in real time, I'm seeing people sort of react to it. It's a different beast, but it is, it's as enjoyable as it can be for the circumstance. It's the closest thing I'm going to get to performing,
For a while anyway.
Yeah, because I don't want to be on that bandwagon of let's get back to regular life ASAP. I'm just like, let's get back to regular life when they figure out what the fuck is going on, how to combat it. And if I don't want to go visit my mom until I know I can like hug her and not potentially kill her.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So, we got to adapt, if I owned a recording studio, I would record hip hop music just because I know I can make a bunch of money out of it. And if, even if I was like some old head and I was like, where's the guitars? Fuck it, man. Money is money. You need money to survive.
Yep. Yeah, fully agree. What else?
Sorry for going off, guys.
No worries, dude.
I'm just
what else has been going on this week?
I was made aware of some terrible Last of Us 2 stuff. Like this week, as far as some, and granted this might be a little older, I guess, but somebody leaked a bunch of shit about the plot and a bunch of spoilers and shit like that, and poorly written characters. Basically, it looks like The Last of Us 2 is going to be a flop.
Ooh,
what is it? Is it video?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's the Cliff's Notes version?
Why do you think it's going to be a flop? I haven't heard anything.
I can't say it without revealing those spoilers. So.
We don't want to, especially for a game that's not even out yet. We don't want to talk about spoilers.
Dumbledore dies.
But
oh no!
Dumbledore's gay.
The gist of Last of Us is that
it's like high school all over again.
Last of Us is a not zombie game where the zombies are actually fungus.
Definitely zombie.
They're it's the cordyceps fungus so they kind of like how the movie Wreck uses rabies as a way to explain zombies. The Last of Us uses the cordyceps mind control fungus as a way to explain zombies in this universe. So they have like fucking gnarly ass, fungi growing out of their heads and shit. It's pretty rad.
It's like it's pretty brutal. He started doing a whole bunch of crack.
And also, like, the reason why bad writing would be a huge problem here is because the game touts itself as being like very story driven. So for someone to leak that the character writing is bad and the plot's bad means like the big sell for this game sucks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait and see if that's actually the case.
Yeah, for sure.
If you don't want it spoiled, then don't read it.
Well, I feel like it's a little hard to judge based on like we don't 100% know that that's
Oh yeah, no, that
real leak,
it's all purely like speculative, and I always also would say that wait until the actual product comes out before you really make those judgments.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But depending on how credible that source is, it could be an ill omen for the future of that game.
Yeah, which is unfortunate.
There's a bunch of drama about the leak because there was like maybe it was a disgruntled Naughty Dog employee, and then they confirmed that it was not. It was just someone, and I guess Sony has looked into it and taken care of it.
So Naughty Dog is notorious for their crunch culture. Like they are real bad to their employees.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Nebo.
I got a question about the Sonic movie.
Okay.
All right.
We've all seen that. We can help. We're experts.
Someone told me that the whole snafu with the bad design and the internet exploded. Someone told me that was all planned.
It
What do you
very
guys think
well
about that?
could have been.
No confirmation on that, though.
But yeah, there is no confirmation. But
they put out a really bad design on purpose just to get everyone talking about it.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Judging by their scene planning comps, like the behind the scenes stuff, they have deleted scenes that are like only kind of half animated, and in those comps, it's a blocky ass version of the original design. So I think that they fully intended to go forward with that original design.
You sure they didn't just put that in there like the moon landing? To trick us all.
Stanley Kubrick came back from the grave to shoot the Sonic movie.
I'm gonna pull a fast one on these motherfuckers.
Similar
First one on the moon.
Similar to the cat's butthole cut, I want an original Sonic cut.
But that would be genius marketing. They're like, all right,
absolutely.
Like they're the board me and they're like, okay, we're gonna put out like the design for what Sonic is gonna look like. Let's just make it really terrible, and everyone will freak the fuck out. And then when we actually like put it out, they'll praise us for changing it.
The one thing I always hold on to whenever it comes to something like that is if we had some evidence of like video game adaptations being historically successful in movies, cool. But they usually suck. So, like, that movie design, the old one, follows the pattern of video game movies being awful. So I believed that was definitely their original intention. Like, the backlash made them change it.
Except for Mario Brothers with Dennis Hopper.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Is that even good? I haven't seen it in 30 years.
No, it's terrible.
No, it's not. It's really bad.
I thought it was pretty terrible.
And everyone was drunk throughout it.
It's legendarily bad.
In fact, the story behind that movie, like there are YouTube videos that have been done about like interviews and the story behind that movie being made. And it was cursed from the get-go. Like it was real bad, and everyone was drunk throughout the entire filming of it.
And everyone knew it was going to be terrible.
So an interesting point with the Sonic movie, though, is that original design looked notoriously like the child in the Sonic suit meme that has been around for fucking ever. And in the movie, they acknowledge the existence of the Sonic meme, the poorly crayon-drawn Sonic. So maybe it was intentional. Because
I just hear things. I don't know what's valid.
There's no way of knowing, and I, in my perpetual cynicism, choose not to give them the benefit of the doubt. I do not believe they were that clever.
Not only do I believe that they're not that clear, but the amount of risk that goes into movie making. Like if you put out something the original like that, and it just like how much money it costs to go into design and programming everything and drawing everything that's going to be programmed into a CGI. That's so much money. There's no way that they were like, let's do a marketing gimmick based on and waste all of this money on the potential we'll get a little bit of extra buzz. Like there's
that's a good point. I still want to believe.
Okay, Fox Mulder.
The truth is out there.
You're gonna get a tank top printed that has the old design with just the text. I believe.
That should be the next Downton Brown.
This is my other question: is it worth watching the Sonic movie?
Yes, I enjoyed
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Get drunk first.
Yeah.
I don't need an edible. I don't really drink. So okay.
Either way.
Yeah.
4 out of 4 topless robots agree.
I'm like a half agree. I got very drunk at the movie theater in preparation to see that because I knew that if I was sober, I would have hated it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
3.5 out of 4 drunken topless robots.
So Jim Carrey is Robotnik, huh?
Yeah,
And it's perfection.
He's good.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
the best part of the movie.
Every time
Okay.
he's on screen, it's
Absolutely.
brilliant.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like classic '90s Jim Carrey revamp.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Alright. I love '90s Jim Carrey. Other question: have you guys seen The Lighthouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have not yet.
Is that gonna? If I'm already having a bad day, is that gonna make it worse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll abstain from that tonight.
It's a fucking weird one.
I'm kind of angry today.
I recommend watching that movie with like a cup of coffee and the subtitles on, and trying to. Well, I also had a weird experience going to see the movie myself, but I wasn't expecting to see some of the things that I did, and particularly a certain actor who's playing Batman doing something to enjoy his own company. So
bring your coffee, bring your cigarettes, bring your existential dread. You'll have a good time.
yeah,
Yeah, because that was on the list that summer. We ended up seeing Parasite and
Parasite was fucking great. Oh, and Midsummer. Yeah.
Midsummer was like
good.
Midsummer on a big giant screen was visually jarring. It was to the point where when I was walking out of the movie theater, I had like vertigo kind of. I felt like dizzy and I had to like reacclimate to my surroundings. I was just like, because it's so brightly shot, and then there's I don't know if you see that movie on a big screen, Midsummer. There's all types, because they're always drinking some sort of hallucinogenic substance throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
So the way it's shot, everything's melting and kind of trippy, like if you're on, mushrooms or psilocybin or whatever. And that movie, whew.
yeah.
Walking out of that movie in the big, like my girlfriend looked at me, she's like, "What the fuck did we just watch?" And I'm just like, "I don't know."
I loved that movie. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. I know that it's kind of. I've been surprised at the mixed reception that it's received, because I thought it was really well done. I don't think that it's a horror movie
as well. I feel like that director. What's that director's name?
Ari. Isn't it? What the fuck is his name?
Ari something. Yeah.
REM.
REO Speedwagon.
I directed that.
REO Speedwagon.
But yeah, I feel like his movies
Ari Aster.
Ari Aster. His movies are like psychological slow burns. They're
So the thing that killed Hereditary for me was learning that
I haven't seen it.
No, I'm not giving anything away. I'll just say that he meant the entire movie to be taken at face value. There is no subtext. There is no, there's nothing to think your way through. He intended it to be taken 100% at face value. There's no interpretation to be had, which bothers me because there were a lot of things that could be taken as hints to a much more interesting outcome in the process of Hereditary. Midsummer, on the other hand, is pitched as a horror, but comes across more as a dramatic thriller to me.
I feel like Midsummer fits a lot of the folk horror tropes of like The Wicker Man and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I will also agree with you that it is. I wouldn't just have it as horror. I would add a bunch of shit with hyphens before I would eat it.
Yeah.
Question: would I get my ass scared off by it?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
By
that's a
Midsummer?
very low bar, though.
Oh, okay.
He's scared of birds.
Shut up! There are bats.
Well, we all know that birds
He's
aren't
scared
real,
of
so-
angry birds.
The Angry
That's
Birds
what
drink
your name-
piss in the
that's
Angry
what
Birds
your
movie.
weird name for bats is. There's a fucking bat.
It was a bird.
I'm holding on to that till the end of my days. It was a bat.
You know what's weird? Like I used to not watch TV, but I watch a lot of TV now, like TV shows. Like I'm a big
Sure.
movie guy.
Yes.
But I'm running out of things to watch.
Hey, if you want,
like new things to watch, like brand new stuff. Like I'm tapped.
if you want to watch a show that lasts forever, watch Supernatural.
Oh, no thanks.
I'll pass.
I started watching it again.
I'll leave that to Jasmine. Jasmine can watch Supernatural reruns all the fuck she wants. That's fine. Supernatural is. What's interesting is you guys remember that there was the Constantine series, the short-lived Constantine series with the amazing Matt Ryan. Apparently, more than one episode has the exact same plot as a Supernatural episode.
Yeah, Supernatural came first.
Yeah, Supernatural came first. But
was that DC
Constantine,
Comics,
more than one
Constantine?
episode of Constantine has a mirror plot to a Supernatural episode.
Yep.
Was that Marvel or DC?
It's Vertigo,
Constantine. Okay,
which
so
is
DC.
DC's, DC, one of DC's branches.
Is it part of the Sandman universe?
I do not know.
He's probably had a team up with Batman at some point, though.
No,
Actually, I think
he
there's a movie.
There's a movie where he shows up with the entire Justice League.
He's part of Justice League Dark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because he shows up with him and Swamp Thing.
More like Justice League dork, am I right? Oh.
So who is Constantine? Isn't he like a fallen angel or something like that?
No, he is a dude who's trying to win his way back into heaven for things that he has done in the past, and he's trying to find retribution in himself, to basically be allowed into heaven when he dies. But largely, he's an exorcist who...
He's a witch!
Yeah.
Is it good?
I loved the series. Have you ever seen the movie with Keanu Reeves?
I've seen the DVD cover.
That counts. Still counts.
The movie.
Okay, so it's all based off the same character.
Yes.
And the movie and the TV series.
Right. But there are different generations of John Constantine. So it's, the stuff that the Keanu film is pulling from is different than the stuff that the Matt Ryan stuff is pulling from. And the Matt Ryan is the TV series stuff is more in line with the Constantine that most comic fans are familiar with. As fun as the movie was, the Matt Ryan stuff is like he is a drastically better casting.
Do you guys have any updates on the new Spawn stuff that's supposed to be coming out? Do you know anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about it in a while.
It's been a bit, but I will say I did back the new Spawn Kickstarter. There's
Bound.
So Todd McFarlane did a Kickstarter
Seth MacFarlane's
where
Spawn.
they're releasing new variations, or it's a reissue of the very first Spawn figure with the very first Spawn comic, with more articulation and more detail in the figure. And there are 3 variations of it and stuff. So I kickstarted that, and I'm really excited for that.
How old were you guys when the first McFarlane toys came out? Do you remember that?
7th grade.
I remember.
I didn't ask when the movie came out, and I
think maybe the 4th or 5th
was
grade.
6.
No.
That shit was mind blowing because
that.
I used to be a big action figure guy.
Dude, those
Going into
figures are
Toys R
fucking
Us.
gorgeous.
When I was a little kid, it was all about He-Man and you know, Transformers, and then we had like crash test dummies and.
Oh, I
fucking
remember
G.I.
crash
Joes
test
and-
dummies. I used to
Tell
attach
us more about
fireworks
the
to the
old
crash
days,
test dummies
grandfather.
figures.
That was fun, but when the McFarlane toys came out, I'm like, how can this be an action figure?
Stepped up the game in detail and it became a new standard that other companies then strived for. McFarlane has been, hugely influential in the collector figure game entirely. And now, but they were never huge on articulation. Now, like collector, action figures have stepped up in articulation and in detail. So you've got a lot of these companies out of Japan and stuff that are doing like butterfly joints on the shoulders and doing 3-point articulation on the knees and doing toe articulation and stuff like that make them really poseable and still very stable when standing. So
Yeah, because the McFarlane toys, at least the first round of them, I feel like they had little to no articulation, but great detail.
And that's how they always were. I mean, even on through like the Clive Barker series stuff that they were doing and all that, articulation wasn't their focus. The detail was fucking phenomenal though. And now with this new Kickstarter that they're doing, they're bringing all that articulation to their classic very first Spawn figure. So they're going to have the detail and the articulation. I'm really excited for it.
That looks sick.
The first one of their like when I noticed as like a kid in the store, the first like McFarlane figure that I really took a good look at was the Metal Gear Solid stuff they did. And I was super impressed by that. I wish they would do some kind of like re-release of those just because I don't want to pay $100 for one that's been beat to hell.
Yeah.
But they love it, I guess.
So they're that much of a collector's item, the Metal Gear ones.
Mm-hmm. Metal Gear Solid stuff
even,
is always expensive for some reason.
And I mean, I feel like all of the old McFarlane stuff is pretty high on the collectability scale. Like they were also one of the first American companies that I can think of that were producing anime figures. So they were they did Vash the Stampede. They did Trigun figures. They did
they also did some
ones
Akira stuff too, right?
Yeah.
I occasionally see some of the Akira stuff floating around in the record shop, but it's always too expensive, so.
Yeah, I mean, I bought some Trigun figures back when they first came out, and they were just gorgeous detail, and it was cool because I was super into Trigun at the time, and there wasn't a lot there. Most of the mainstream American figure companies were not focusing on detail. They were not focusing, certainly not focusing on any media from Japan. So it was cool and when these things were coming out, I was working at Suncoast Video where we were carrying these figures. So it was, I'd get to see them come in.
That's the only reason I went into Suncoast when I was a kid. I was just like, I want to go look at the grown-up action figures as I call them.
I love Suncoast in the mall, man.
Yep.
I used to go in there and get Richard Roundtree VHS tapes because they had the whole black exploitation from the 70s collection there.
Yeah,
where they had just had all these classic movies. A lot of nerdy shit in Suncoast.
It was one of my favorite jobs, and it was. Like, now that I think about it, probably the only real national chain that had a lot of the shit that it carried. Nowadays you can find it locally. Like out here, we've got Zia, which has a lot of the same kind of nerdery focus, along with, music and all that sort of thing. But that wasn't a common thing. Like Suncoast had it, and that was it,
They had a lot of the early Mystery Science Theater VHSs there too.
Yep.
I will never have a complete collection because all Mystery Science Theater physical media is like super expensive for some reason.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, like getting a hold of like you can get a lot of the old like the DVDs the DVDs will have like a handful of episodes but to get like
Usually
a whole
3
set.
apiece.
Yeah, but to get a whole set though cuz like I've seen some of those DVDs be fairly expensive. So
What about the VHS? Because I literally have sets of those at my mom's house in Michigan.
that I don't know. I have a VCR.
Thinking about the resale value on some
Dude,
VHS
I got an eBay
tapes?
account. I got a gold star, man. Got to get rid of them VHSs. I got pod people.
Hey, we're in the quarantine. Getting rid of old VHSs is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, right.
I've been eBaying. I got myself a new camera.
By the way, totally random. Actually, kind of a callback to earlier. I looked up news on the new Spawn movie. It is in limbo, and there's not any more news. Other than Harlan has not.
What about the animated series? Was that good? I didn't.
The
see
animated
it.
series was fucking great. It was an HBO series. In
So
fact,
it was like R-rated.
yes.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Nebo, I dropped the broadcast TV portion of my Hulu, so you should have access to my Hulu account again. And that has HBO, which has the full Spawn series on it.
Dude, if you you need to resend me the credentials.
So I fucking last time I was out in California in January, I gave Nebo my Hulu account information, and then shortly after, so I could watch the Oscars, I added live TV to it. Apparently, adding live TV to it, it boots you if you're not watching from the zip code that you registered from.
It's the state. I don't think it's the zip code. I think it's the state.
Oh, really?
Because the prompt it gave me, I think I screenshotted it to you. It said you were in the wrong state.
Huh.
That makes sense. It's probably because Hulu offers a lot of live sports, and like the live service offers a lot of live sports, so they have to be really careful about who's watching from where.
Yeah,
because
that makes sense.
Sports media has local specific deals on.
Yeah.
Speaking of sports media, my coworkers like to leave on ESPN sometimes at work, and it's just funny hearing the shit they're trying to talk about just to stay on the air.
It's so good. It's so bad. It's so good. It's so bad.
It's really bad. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here in this chair and field my opinions about specific players for about 40 minutes until someone comes to rescue me.
That was the most alarming thing that happened right before the pandemic really hit and they shut everything down. As I was on tour.
Yeah. When
they canceled the NBA,
shutting down seasons, that was intense.
I was like, I started getting panicky.
Yeah, did you end up? You were out with Guttermouth at that time. Did you have to kill any of those gigs, or
just one?
Really?
We had 5 tour dates booked, and we played 4 of them.
The 5th one was singing the national anthem at the NBA game, right?
Yeah. That was the money one too. That was the what they call the anchor date, and we had to that would have been Mark from Guttermouth singing the national anthem
right before he kicks a woman off the pitcher's mound.
He's actually a really sweet guy. That was a really cool experience.
I know that he's actually a good dude, but he's one of at least 3-4 punk frontmen that I can think of who, within so many years, got called out for violence against a woman specifically during a show.
Well, let's just put it this way: when we were on tour. There was
I think his shit was at the Hody in fucking Fort Collins too.
Oh, wasn't Joe talking about that? Mohawk Joe?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think he posted footage of it because he used to live in Fort Collins.
I had been at the Hody. One of the bartenders at the Hody came up with what became my favorite shot that everyone hates when I make them do it with me.
What's in it?
It's half whiskey, half peach schnapps, and a healthy dose of Tabasco.
I think the schnapps would offset the harshness of the whiskey. I think that
I love it, man. That. I fucking love it. But when I tell someone, how to make it and what to put in, and they're like, "What the fuck are you asking of me?"
I saw some weird thing on the internet recently that people are mixing beer with milk.
No.
Did you see that floating around?
No.
I'm like, who mixes beer with milk? So yeah, to me, peach schnapps, whiskey, and a little bit of Tabasco, I would drink the hell out of that if I was still drinking.
Charlie from Always Sunny, like, we got milk steak, but now we're gonna do milk beer.
Milk beer.
I mean, this is milk stout.
So we have gotten to the end of the podcast. Nebo, at the end of the podcast, we usually go to the subreddit Ask Reddit and pick out a question for all of us to answer. And I think that's something, it's super simple. Is sometimes we get some that are like, okay, how can I come up with the best joke for this? And sometimes it's a little bit more introspective. And sometimes it's just straight up a normal fucking question. Like this one here, I felt like was a good one right now. How do you find new music?
Me specifically?
We'll take turns answering. You can start if you have something in mind.
My friend John from Canada, or Anthony Fantano.
Yeah, dude, he fucking turned me on to Mono Neon.
Yeah, he turned me on 100 Gex, and it's been a fun ride. So it's always either a friend or someone talking about music online. Pretty simple answer. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to catch up.
Oh, I don't know. I'm done. It's pretty simple with me.
Commercials, trailers, sometimes movie soundtracks will get me into like an artist if they feature like a song from someone I haven't heard of.
Oh, sure.
I have a very long and tragic backstory about my getting into music, so I'm just not going to go into that right now. These guys and my roommate Zeke.
Yeah.
Pretty much like, I can't believe you haven't heard this. Here we go. And it's just like, oh, okay, well. So.
Yeah, my favorite thing, I actually like the Spotify Discovery. Like, you can get some interesting random shit on there a lot of the times. But my biggest one is just, I love just hanging out with people and doing I'll play a song, you play a song, we play a song, and just kind of go around in a circle and just, hey, here's a song to play. It's so much fun. It's a great way to spend a night. You just kick back a few beers or some scotch or whatever, and you just listen to random music that everyone wants to play.
As soon as we're all able to be in the same room again, I need to have another one of those parties. I've had a couple of those parties with Dan and Zeke and Brooks, but no Tyler, I don't think yet. No, except maybe you were on the first one.
I know that I haven't had all three of you guys in my house at the same time.
Yeah,
I've only
that's
had
true.
Combination 2.
It's okay, Ryan. We all know that you don't like me.
Make it happen.
Who is that keeps talking?
I don't know. Just looks like a bundle of pixels to me right now. How about you, Dan?
Aside from like the expected thing of the trusted opinions of people who know my taste, I like going on deep dives. So like any sort of program that allows you to listen to something that's related to the last thing you listened to, and I just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, and I always find myself somewhere completely unrelated to where I started, and I try and like find the most like cursed band I can listen to. Like that's where it ends. Like when I get to a point where something is just so fucking weird or terrible that I finally like snap out of it and go, man, this sucks. That's the end of my deep dive, you know? I do it on Spotify or YouTube, but anything that'll go like, you just watch this, next we're doing this, and you just keep letting it run until you can't go anymore.
Little did you know the internet's actually just frying the same song over and over and over again.
I like to do that with Bandcamp. I'll go Bandcamp surfing sometimes.
Yep.
And you find some weird fucking places, that's for sure.
And you find some incredible.
It's the same concept, dude. That's a deep dive.
But it's the same kind of thing. So I found one of, and Nebo will agree with me, one of the best bands to ever exist. Randomly through Last.fm, back when Last.fm was more common to be used. The Idea Men just randomly came up on Last.fm for me, and I fucking fell in love with them. And they are one of the best bands.
Was a thing.
Idea Man is one of
the bro.
That's one of those groups that when you listen to it, you're like, how is this band not really, really, really famous?
Because they don't leave Chicago.
Well, I think it has a little bit more to do with that, because you think like with the internet that something that sounds that good would just spread organically.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just a testament of what it actually takes for music to spread on a big level. It takes advertising and planning, and I think it just stinks because they got locked into that. I think they're still on Rotten Records and still contractually, just like Dog Fashion Disco. For some reason, both those bands signed their lives to this guy that didn't even put any of their music on Spotify till this year.
Is DFD still on Rotten? I thought they were self-publishing through Razor to Wrist.
Well, as far as my knowledge is concerned, I don't want to talk too much shit because I don't know the full story, but when they were putting out records as Polka Dot Cadaver, they were doing it to get rid of the UOSX albums.
Oh.
And then the dude who owns Rotten Records is like, well, I signed Dog Fashion Disco, not Polka Dot Cadaver, so you still owe me this, this, and this. And then I think they started re-recording the old albums because they're just like, all right, we'll just like redo the old albums. I don't know exactly what the story is, but all I know is as far as my knowledge is concerned, that guy just signs bands and then he holds them hostage.
I got to see if I can get Todd on here.
Just like Space Jam.
Yeah. But either way, yeah, Idea Men, like, think about what Spotify means to an up and coming artist. I consider it necessary. If you're Taylor Swift and you don't want to do Spotify, people are still going to listen to Taylor Swift because you're a giant. But a band like Idea Men, for them just to start streaming their music because their record label held it hostage for fucking 8-9 years, they're just starting to stream this year. It's like fucking heartbreaking. I was on a couple bad record labels over the years, but at least they were fucking smart enough to make our shit available to stream, because it's going back to that, like, why fight the technology? I don't know. I just feel bad.
Fucking evolve.
I just feel
with
bad
the
for
times.
Idea Man because I think so much of them not being a bigger band has to do a lot with mismanagement of by their record label, and then also it's hard to keep a band on the road. There's no money in it, especially if you're a small band.
Yeah. It's a shame, though. Anyone who's watching, fucking check out Idea Men because, no joke, they are amazing. They are musicians' favorite band. Like, they're when we were out on the road, I was the merch guy for Downtown Brown and the 2014 tour with Psycho Stick and Fun Gone Wrong. And one of the things that was agreed upon...
Was that 2014?
That was 2014, dude. That was like November 2014, something like that.
Was Fun Gone Wrong with us?
Yeah.
That had to have been 2015.
No, it was definitely 2014. I moved out here at the beginning of 2015. It was the end of 2014. Yeah.
Oh, it was like the fall of 2014.
Yes, it was the fall of 2014. And one thing that was agreed upon, at least between the fucking Psycho Stick and Downtown Brown cars, was that Idea Men is the best band.
Yeah.
So fucking listen to Idea Men.
You can, and shout out, you can stream them on Spotify now. It only took 9 years for Rotten Records to put it up there, but it's up there now. So.
The other way that I used to find bands was what.cd, the old torrent site where you could find like it was invite only. You could find super obscure shit. And something that I forgot to bring up when we were talking with Kevin from Tubbring, when they released their album Secret Handshakes, it hit what.cd before it hit anything else. And so when he and I were talking, when they did 3 fucking tour dates in support of that album, and one of those dates was in Madison. And Kevin and I are sitting at the bar and we were talking, and I mentioned that I had fucking grabbed it early, and he professed to me at the time that he released it on what.cd. He personally put it out on what.cd, so he leaked it himself because he thinks he wants the music to be with the people, and he just wants accessibility out there. So
Death Grips did that in 2012 when they put out Money Store. They got signed to a major label, and then they leaked their own album.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've got a ton of respect for dudes who do that, man. That was great. But yeah, what.cd had this similar artist kind of map on each artist landing page, but it wasn't algorithmic. It was put together by other users. And I found it to be more accurate because what.cd was a torrent tracker of very passionate music listeners. So it was way more accurate than like anything else. Anyway, that's the end of the podcast. Nebo, let everyone know where they can find you, find Downtown Brown, find your streaming, all that good stuff.
My podcast, Supcast with Neil P, is on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just type in Supcast and Neil, Neil, and you'll find it. And then my band Downtown Brown has been around forever. If you type Downtown Brown in Google, we're everywhere. It's pretty easy to find all that stuff. And there's a ton of content. There's 7 albums worth of music and a bunch of music videos, a bunch of dumb shit. So. Reagan Youth is a thing, and HR of Bad Brains are a thing as well, and I'm involved with them. So,
awesome.
Yeah!
Thanks for being on the fucking podcast, man, and thank you everyone for watching and/or listening. We'll see you next week.
Topless Robot.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm about to fucking piss my pants.